She moved in with her new boyfriend, and within months, her 8-year-old daughter was dead. The tragic story of Justina Morales. Trigger warning. This may be one of the worst cases I've ever covered. Viewer discretion advised. Justina was born February 19, 1987 in Brooklyn, New York to her mother Denise Salerio and to an unnamed father. Denise was known for being a neglectful, selfish mother who always put herself ahead of her children. All she cared about was the men in her life. In August of 1995, Denise began dating another bum named Luis Santiago, who was in his early 20s. Denise claimed he physically abused both of them, but Justina was his main target. He beat Justina with a closed fist, a belt, and a metal pipe. But Denise said his abuse didn't stop there. He essayed her daughter right in front of her, and she did nothing to stop him. He would force Justina to strip down nude and walk around the apartment naked because he said he wanted to humiliate her. Denise claimed Luis essayed Justina with a hammer in front of her to teach her a lesson. Denise claimed she found burn marks on Justina after Luis scalded her from the waist down with hot water. He would also force Justina to sleep in the nude, to teach her another lesson. November of 1995, Justina's aunt called CPS and reported that she had missed a lot of school. In the past, Justina had missed 51 days of kindergarten, 57 days of first grade, and school administrators had never contacted the police or CPS. But even when CPS was alerted, they still did nothing about it. The caseworker only questioned Denise twice about Justina's whereabouts, and both times she lied to the caseworker, and without ever laying her eyes on this child, the caseworker requested this case be closed, and they did. Trigger warning, this case is about to get a lot worse, if you can believe that. On December 31st, 1995, 8-year-old Justina Morales disappeared. She had already missed 37 days of second grade when she went missing, and the school never reported it. And for 14 months, no one even noticed she was missing. No one searched for her, and no missing person reports were ever filed. That is, until Denise told some of her family and an ex-boyfriend that Luis had killed Justina, and that ex-boyfriend went straight to the police. In a videotaped confession, Luis claimed while fighting with Denise, Justina got in the way and he accidentally hit her instead of Denise. But then he said, "I killed Justina with my fist and a metal pipe," so the police knew this was no accident. Luis then claimed they dumped her body at an unknown location, but when he went back to check on it, it had magically disappeared. In other words, he went back and moved her body, and now he's the only one who knows where she is. So to avoid having to tell the truth, Luis turned down the plea agreements and decided to go to trial. So of course Denise played the victim and claimed she was a battered woman and said that she would talk if she got a plea deal. But she had played a much bigger role in this than what she was saying. So without knowing the truth, prosecutors jumped the gun and offered Denise 5 years probation as long as she would testify against Luis during his trial. The prosecutors said they had to offer her a deal to get information on this case because they didn't have a body. But they had no idea just how guilty she really was when they signed that deal until she testified against Luis. Denise admitted she knew her boyfriend was abusing her daughter in every way and she did nothing to save her. And it was on the stand where Denise finally admitted she helped Luis torture and kill her daughter. This is what Denise claimed happened on December 31st, 1995. That night, Luis demanded Justina come take a bath, but she refused. She claimed Luis grabbed 8-year-old Justina by her hair and drug her into the bathroom, shoved her head in the water, and began drowning her in the bathtub. But Justina wasn't going down without a fight, and she fought with everything she had to keep her head above the water. That was when Luis violently pulled her out of the bathtub and drug her across the apartment floor by her hair, and then began to beat her with a closed fist. The fact that she was still alive angered him, so he grabbed a metal pipe and began beating her with it. He beat her with that pipe until she passed out, and he thought she was dead until he checked for a pulse. So him and Denise wrapped duct tape around Justina's face 3 times and then forced her down to the floor on her stomach. By that point, Justina was still trying to get away, so Denise climbed on top of her and held her arms and legs down. The tape came off of Justina's mouth, and with her last words, she told her mother, "Mommy, make me pretty." Denise said she stared into her daughter's eyes as they smothered her with a pillow. Denise held her daughter's hand as Justina squeezed for dear life, and then finally, after hours of torture, Justina died. They then put Justina's body in a shopping cart and left her in the closet and went to a New Year's Eve party and acted as if nothing had ever happened. A week later, they both took her body and left her at an unknown location. And then Luis went back to the site and claimed that Justina's body had just vanished, so she doesn't know where her body is. When she got through with her testimony, the prosecutor said, "So you helped him kill your child?" And Denise said, "Yes, I did." I believe Denise because she incriminated herself and confessed to killing Justina. But they should have given her a harsher sentence for her role in this because that lenient plea deal was about to bite them in the ass. By now, Luis was still claiming this was an accident, but he still wouldn't tell the police where her body was. So with no body and no autopsy, all the jury had to go on was Denise's testimony. Even though the jury knew Luis was not being completely honest, they turned on Denise when they found out about her plea deal. And this trial became more focused on Denise's plea deal than Justina's murder. The jury thought she was lying just to get that plea deal, so they believed Luis's story over hers. So then this jury refused to convict him of murder and instead chose manslaughter. How could they think this was an accident when he admitted to killing her with his fist and a pipe and still wouldn't tell them where her body was? So he was sentenced between 5 to 19 years in prison, depending on his behavior. And he was released and walking our streets as of 2016. Niece was sentenced to 5 years probation, her parental rights were terminated, and if she got pregnant again, she had to report it so the state could take the baby away. I think they both should have got the death penalty because they both confessed to killing her in one way or another. Luis's family said Luis didn't do this, and if he did, it was because of that woman. Talk about a toxic, enabling family. The man confessed to killing her on video and still won't tell anyone where her body is to this day. Because he knows if they find her body, they'll do an autopsy and the truth will be revealed about what they did to her. Now let's take a moment to remember the sweet little girl who was failed by everyone, Justina Morales. There's not a lot of information about Justina, but what we do know is she enjoyed playing outside. She loved animals, drawing, and going to school. If you have any information on this case, please contact the police.